need to wake up to what's going on. You know, the Lord's put a burden on my heart about all these people, thousands and thousands of people that are being held as prisoners in these underground bases. And we're talking about Area 51, Kirtland Air Force Base, Dulce Base. These are just 3 bases. We know they have over 26 joint alien human bases, and this is from years ago. They could have even more by now. And I know there's a huge one in Texas somewhere. I don't have the specifics. I was reading a report of somebody who had been working in this underground base, and, you know, they call these places nightmare halls because these people are held in cages. They're not held in jail cells. They're held in cages. And what they are is they're just waiting. Some of them are being used for hybrid experiments. Some of them are being used for food. And we've got thousands and thousands of people held under these bases. And our government has agreed with the aliens to keep this information quiet. So what we need to do is make a ruckus until these people are freed. Our government has no right to make a treaty with any foreign entity that goes against the Constitution of America. That's treason. And they've committed treason against the United States people by doing this, because what they said was, okay, you can come in, you can kidnap, you can abduct our people, you can use them for experiments, you can hold them as prisoners, you can use them as food, just give us your technology. It's a give and take, and every 2 years they renew these agreements. And every 2 years they're giving and they're taking something. And in 1947, when Eisenhower made that agreement with them, and then Truman and Roosevelt and all of them, it started the cattle thing, where they could take the cattle, and then it went on to the humans, and, it took them all by surprise. They didn't realize to the in-depth that the humans were being abducted. The aliens had lied to them. So instead of coming clean, the government swept it under the rug. They don't want to be pointed the finger at fault. And I can't say it's the government itself. Like right now, for the past 30 years, the president in charge has no knowledge of any of this going on. It's kept from him. And what they did back in the 40s and 50s and 60s was create so many agencies and so many rabbit trails that all of this is totally kept, because they realized that the Oval Office is a revolving door. Every 4 years we could have a new president, and they wanted to keep this secret. So they run this thing through what we call a shadow government. It's a government that runs parallel alongside our real government. One of their bases is located in Mount Weather, Virginia. It's a complete city underneath there. They have their own officials. They have everything ready there to take over. So if something was to happen to Washington today, the shadow government would take over America. They would come out to rule. And what the Lord's been showing me about this shadow government is anytime you deal with the demonic, anytime you get in bed with Satan, you're not going to come out looking like an angel. And all of them, when you start getting involved with Satan, you become one of them. And they're possessed, they've been walked in, they've gone through soul shearing. I mean, they've become them. So our shadow government is no longer fully just human. It's not who they were when they started out to be. They're walk-ins now. They're totally owned and controlled and possessed by the aliens. So our shadow government is nothing short than Lucifer's minions himself hosting human bodies. Okay, and they're going to have no trouble hounding 60 million Americans on these trains they already have ready, taking them to holding concentration camps they already have ready to their final destinations to gas them and kill them. They have, their emotions, they're gone, their souls are gone. They've been replaced. So, people don't think this is going to happen in America. It is going to happen in America, and it's called the Antichrist War on the Saints. He doesn't need humans as armies. He doesn't need them. Humans are expendable. Humans die. He's got millions of his own forces coming in. He doesn't need us. He doesn't need anybody. All he needs is the cooperation of the gullible being the factions 1s and 2s and those creating the New World Order government, to create this thing for him. He's promised them wealth, he's promised them fame and fortune, and they've had everything they could dream of. For a short period of time, they've sold their souls to him. And they've betrayed our country. They've committed treason against our country. And it's going to take, rising up and standing up of the Christians and patriots of this country that still believe in this country to try to do something about it and get this New World Order out of here. Back to Nasera, the political agenda of the beast. Right now, the arrival of the Antichrist isn't something the church crowd's expecting to happen. They're waiting for a rapture to happen. And I'm going to tell you this Nasera thing will be announced long before a rapture happens. There is a pre-trib rapture, so to speak, if you want to think about, the Lord's army, his bride is 144,000, that will be taken right before the chip enforcement mark. And the reason it's so small is because look how many people are deceived today. Look how many are sitting in the beast prophets' churches Lucifer has been ahead of the game long before we have been. If you're in the Hinds, if you're in the Copelands, if you're in that entire faith movement, if you have been deceived enough to get sucked in by them, then you are candidate material to get deceived and sucked in by the Antichrist. Those are beast prophets. Every one of them are one of his. They've all sworn oaths of loyalty to him. They're all high-ranking Masons. Billy Graham, high-ranking Mason. Tim LaHaye, high-ranking Mason. And they don't hide it. They put the symbols of Masonry right out there on their works, on their books. You can see it. You know, if you don't want to take me at face value, get online and do some research. You know, that's where all this started with me years ago, was just research, wanting to know the truth. All right, what's first going to happen is we're going to see a lot of this aliens saying that we're created they're our created forefathers. They created us. They went away. They're coming back to help America because we're such a mess we can't take care of it ourselves now. We're ruining Earth, so we need their help. The people have been blindsided by these ascended masters for years. Oh, they're ascended masters. They're enlightened ones, you know, and they're channeling these things, and they're coming in the name of peace and help. And of course, they want to help you because they want to turn around and eat you the next second, and we want to destroy your world, your country. It's exactly what they're going to do. These are all fairy tale games of the Antichrist. This is all Lucifer warming up the people to deceive them. The Bible codes reveal a massive panic among the nations of the world. Not the huge acceptance he expects when he does arrive. When he does arrive, there is going to be some surprises for him. I'm not going to reveal them all. But one of the major things is that the world just goes into a panic. They're not going to accept him. There's not going to be this major acceptance like he's expecting to pull off. And so that's one of the things, you know, that will be good. I think one of the first acts he does is, one of the first acts when he arrives, is make a proclamation of this NESARA announcement. It's going to be the first thing he does. And the second thing is he's going to make an example of his enemies. And when he starts making an example of his enemies, it's going to wake a lot of people up. Other than that, it's very good deception. It's one of the best ones I've seen out there lately because he will come looking exactly like the Jesus we've seen. His name is Sananda. He will come acting like him, talking like him. The beast prophets of the churches will be supporting him. And if you don't think that's true, you know, I sat and listened to Pat Robertson 2 years ago support the chip. I can't remember the name of it right now. He had the CEO of the company on his show talking about how these chips weren't the mark, you know, of the beast. And, you know, they're all set. Pat Robertson is one of them. He's in with the game. You know, the only thing we can do is get out of theirs. Get out of their game. Get into Yahweh. Seek the truth. Recognize these wolves when you see them. The coming economic policy called NESARA, it looks good at a glance. It's called the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And what it does is it's going to offer peace and prosperity to millions and millions of Americans. It's going to start here, and then it's going to go east. It's going to go worldwide. It will probably get as far as China because we know China never goes along with anything the Antichrist pushes. They will be the ones to contest him at Armageddon. So we know it's going to be dominant in the West. And some of the major features of NESARA is going to be that they're going to wipe away all of the debt in America. If you own a mortgage loan, if you own credit cards, all that's going to be wiped out. They will, let me go through here and list you of things that they're going to promise to do under NESARA. Forgives credit card, mortgages, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. They'll finally come out and say all the interest charged over the banks over the years has been illegal. Abolishes the income tax. And if you'll notice, George Bush mentioned at the Republican National Party Committee that after he was elected, he was going to do something about the taxes. Was he making a blind reference to NESARA? I don't know, but we're going to see because NESARA calls for his resignation as president. So that's just another blind faction coming in from the back. Not blind, I see it coming, you know, clearly. But what it will do is demand the resignation of Bush and Cheney on the spot when it is announced. And this is another faction that's fighting behind the scenes, waiting to take control of the New World Order. It abolishes the IRS, creates a flat-rate, non-essential, new items-only sales tax revenue for government, increases benefits to senior citizens, returns constitutional law, establishes new presidential